Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com, and cats and dogs are living together. We've got Michael Stetz of MMA Mania, our blood brothers and bitter rivals over there on the SB Nation Sports Network. Welcome, Michael. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nate. What's going on, man?
Not much. We just watched a whole lot of face punching, some cage fighting, some submissions. Pretty decent card. Obviously, I'm talking about the UFC Fight Night Nashville, Glover Teixeira versus Ovin St. Preux. Teixeira getting the submission in the third round after pretty dominant performance. OSP kind of reigned in the first round, but what are your thoughts on the card and the main event?
Yeah, I thought it was a good card. Had some good moments. Obviously, I'm sure we'll get into the controversial decision in the co-main, but it was a great performance by Glover Teixeira. There's a guy that's coming off two bad performances, and really no one wants to be on that proverbial hot seat, that bubble, the three fight loss bubble. And he went out there and spoiled the homecoming party for the former Tennessee Volunteer there in Nashville.
Absolutely, and against a very tough OSP. I mean, Ovin St. Preux came out hitting hard, landing body kicks, getting up quick from the takedowns, but Teixeira knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to get OSP down on the ground, and eventually he kept him there. And from there, once he settled in on that half guard, it seemed like it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, the second round, Teixeira just showed his veteran capabilities and octagon savvy, and really slowed down the pace of the fight and kept in his top position, held him at bay, and St. Preux just started to tire. And I think when you go into a round like that, especially after the first round when he had him in trouble, you have to think his confidence kind of started to be sapped from him at that point.
Yeah, I feel like Teixeira, he's a guy who's been out-wrestled in the past. And he's been there before. He's on his back. It cannot be fun to be on your back with 220-something pounds of Glover Teixeira on top of you, chipping away, they call it. But I bet you when those elbows are landing on your head, it doesn't feel like chip shots. And so I don't know. I felt like going in. Ovin St. Preux is one of these guys. He's got athletic abilities all day long, but he doesn't really have, I think, the fundamental skill set in wrestling and mixed martial arts overall. He's a great athlete who came to the sport late, doesn't have a combat sports base, and I think that's put a ceiling on where he's at. For Teixeira, it's a good comeback, especially with John Jones out of the title picture for the time being. I think he's got new opportunities, but he's going to need, with the loss to Phil Davis, he's going to need another 2 or 3 wins before he's in the title picture.
Yeah, I just finished my recap for Mania. I said he's going to need 1 or 2 to get back into the title picture. Obviously, you have Bader and Evans, and then you have Cormier defending the title against Gustafsson at 192. But maybe he doesn't need more than 1. I mean, you look at how shallow the light heavyweight division. We shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves. It's normal logic to think he'd need 1 or 2, but in 2015 right now, with Jones on the shelf. Hey, I mean, Ryan Bader, think about that. Ryan Bader almost got a title shot, as crazy as that is. So.
He's in the hunt for sure, but Bader's put together a number of wins. Mm-hmm. Bader's so underwhelming, though. But Teixeira didn't. I mean, this was a good performance, solid performance, but it's not like one of those quick knockouts that's going to have fans just slavering for a title shot. It's not like Anthony Rumble Johnson when he demolished Little Nog. I mean, even though to me a quick win like that is in a lot of ways less impressive really than a grinding win, especially against somebody as tough as OSP, who came out and hurt Teixeira. Teixeira had to overcome some real challenges to get this win. But yeah, you're right. This division is bone thin, and it could be no time at all before Teixeira's in that title hunt. But let's talk about that controversial co-main event. What the hell? I mean, Michael Johnson, to me, I scored it 2-1 for Johnson. I thought Dariush came back in the third round just because Johnson took his foot off the pedal a little bit and stole the round. But Johnson clearly won the first and second to me. I mean, he knocked him down in the first round, and that was the most significant offense of the whole fight.
Yeah, you could even argue that he won all 3 and got a 30-27. And I know Dariush's best round was the third, but did he do enough over the course of the 5 minutes? I didn't think so. I still thought Johnson had the more significant strikes, and he dictated the pace in terms of the fight. Obviously, judging criteria goes striking, grappling effectiveness first, and then cage control and aggressiveness and all that afterward. But if you checked all the columns, I really thought it went for Johnson, even though Dariush had some success with his jab at a few times. And when he went in with that jumping knee, he ate a big left too, so it was almost kind of like a wash there. So Fine, all right. You want to give him the third round, I get it. But the first 2 rounds were clearly for Menace there, and that's
absolutely 100%.
That's a disappointing loss. No way around it. But I don't think Johnson loses much stock, and I'm pretty sure it's doubtful Dana White's at the post-fight presser tonight at the Nashville card for a fight night card. But I think I could assure you, I'm sure almost 100% that they will award Johnson his win bonus for that decision.
Quite likely. And I don't see Dariush, I really don't see, even if Johnson had gotten the win, which I think he earned, I don't see it like really vaulting him up the rankings because it wasn't an overwhelmingly impressive performance. I mean, he dominated Dariush on the feet, but he kind of took his time. There was no sense of urgency other than the first round when he had him hurt and poured it on a little bit. But it's not the kind of performance to me that's a breakout in a very crowded division.
Yeah, I think he stays level. Because Dariush, he wasn't outclassed by any means. He held his own.
Yeah.
I just think I agree with you. I can't see him jumping up to number 5. And a lot of people in the rankings have this almost built-in principle where, hey, you beat this guy, then you have to jump up. And that's not how it works. Like, if the guy's 5 and you had a controversial decision and you were 12th, you're not the 5th-ranked fighter. That's not how it works.
That would be crazy.
That kind of stuff drives me crazy. But Dariush showed that he can hang, and he's an up-and-comer. A lot of people were favoring to win tonight, which is a little surprising. Johnson's still a real deal, still one of the best guys. 4-fight win streak is snapped here, but I think he'll be back, and I don't think he loses much stock because I'm sure you asked 10 out of 10 people, they would have given him the decision.
Yeah, unfortunately, 2 of the 3 people judging, one of them was Doug Crosby, who's a notorious crazy pants judge. So, I can't remember who the other one was, but it's just an inexplicable decision. Dariush even seemed shocked. But let's run through the card from the bottom to the top. First up, there are 3 fights on the Fight Pass prelim card. Scott Holtzman against Anthony Christodoulou. People were ripping on Christodoulou on Twitter. I saw people calling it the worst offensive performance in recent UFC history other than his last fight. So just completely not qualified to be in the octagon.
When I saw Christodoulou, he fought. He was on one of those Fight Pass cards. I don't remember. I think it was the Sweden card, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct.
And I thought the same thing. I was just shocked at how bad a level of throw out. Everyone's like, "Oh, the UFC is the top." I mean, we all know that's not the case. And there's guys he's arguably worse than some of the regional guys I've seen on the prelims for Bellator cards. I mean, he is awful.
Yeah, he is extremely bad. It looked like one of the dads from the community swimming pool I was at just before the fights found his way into the octagon. The problem was Scott Holtzman, he teed off. He looked good. I mean, it looked like he was fighting a tackling dummy for long stretches, but at one point he nearly threw himself onto the ground, winging and missing. I mean, it was the underwhelming performance against basically inert competition in Christodoulou. He finally pulled it together and got him out of there in the 3rd round. But I can't say I wasn't impressed with Holtzman because he looks like he's athletic. It looks like he's got pretty decent striking. He can grapple. I mean, he just submitted the Greek-Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, but not just a completely shit performance from Christodoulou and not impressive from Holtzman to me.
I'll give you full disclosure just because I know just Christodoulou, but I live in Detroit, Nate, so FS2 is blocked out here, so I only had to go by results and following Twitter and everything, so I wasn't able to see the action. Unfortunately, I don't know what the deal is, but FS2 is blacked out in my region. I couldn't see the prelims here.
Oh, that sucks balls. Well, the first 2 on Fight Pass, but I'll run through them real quick and do most of the commentary, and then we can get the main card because nobody cares about these undercards and these fight nights anyhow. So Marlon Vera beat Roman Salazar, a submission. I was pretty impressed with Vera. Looks like he's got kind of a karate stance, but he got him with the triangle. Salazar tried to force the fight to the ground. Whenever they were on the feet, Vera dominated pretty handily. Salazar forced it to the ground, but then Vera from his back dominated, got the triangle. Pretty impressive bantamweight performance there from Vera. And then light heavyweight Jonathan Wilson demolished Chris Dempsey in 50 seconds. Dempsey, not impressive. The 2nd time in a row I think he's gotten his clock cleaned. Wilson looked pretty good in his UFC debut. And then in the Fox Sports 2 card, first up bantamweight Frankie Saenz and Serwin Kakai. This was a really good fight. If you get a chance to watch this one on Fight Pass, I would look out for it. Even though it was a split decision and I scored it a tie, I felt like both these guys are good wrestle boxers. They went back and forth hard the whole fight. Lots of good exchanges, lots of good grappling, lots of good striking. Sainz got the win. I don't have any objections with that, but I could have seen it going either way, and it was a split decision. And, of course, the card was completely jacked up, too, because no, that's right. Two of the judges. For a second, I thought one of the judges gave it to that they split 30-27. I don't know. Wikipedia, I don't know. My memory is that one of the judges had it 30-27 for Kakai, another judge had it 30-27, and another judge had it 29-28. But Wikipedia is telling me I'm wrong. So
got to be careful with Wikipedia. Somebody put in before, it might have been fixed, but somebody changed Sarah McMahon to Sarah is a man.
They'll do that on Wikipedia, but generally they're pretty fast on it. But Wikipedia has burned me in the past. But and then flyweight Dustin Ortiz utterly dominated Willie Gates. Gates came in with a big height and reach advantage, but Ortiz used his wrestling, got inside, took him down over and over again, stopped him in the third round, 2 minutes and 58. Just totally dominant performance from Ortiz. This is a guy to keep your eye on in the flyweight division, in my opinion. Then we have middleweight Chris Camozzi defeating Tom Watson unanimous decision, and just the fight was as bad and boring as you would expect. I enjoyed it.
He's still hanging around in the middleweight division, though. It's unbelievable. The guy just keeps getting fights. It's great.
And winning fights.
Yeah, man, all the power to. I want his agent.
Yeah, no doubt. And Watson actually looked fairly good, although I have to say, the tide kind of turned after Watson landed a second nut shot that resulted in a point deduction. But after that, Camozzi definitely had the wind taken out of his sails. And so, I'm a big fan of George St. Pierre, the legendary welterweight champion. And he had what I called the championship nut shot. And basically, it seemed like GSP took a nut shot every round if he could.
Yeah.
And that shit wears you down, man. How do you like to fight somebody after taking a nut shot? Anyway, but Camozzi pulled it out, got the win.
Not to cut you off, but it's amazing. You know, that's the only time in a fight that it's completely up to the fighter to when the fight restarts. You have the full 5 minutes, and you can take the full 5 minutes if you so choose to. It doesn't matter if it's a grazing shot. As soon as the referee stops a nut shot, you can take the full 5. And guys are always rushing back. I'm like, take your time, man.
Yeah,
hop on one leg, get the blood flowing. The guys jump in like 10 seconds later. I'm like, what are you doing?
No doubt. Get your Chris Teixeira on, throw up in a bucket, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Take your time, take care of business. But Camozzi went back out there, and he ended up getting the win. So, but it was a classic middleweight fight, just tedious. It wasn't quite as bad as some I've seen. There was more exchanging and less hugging against the fence than sometimes you get in a Tom Watson or Chris Camozzi bout. But still, it had ineffectual striking on the feet and then lots of clinching against the fence. But then Uriah Hall defeated UFC newcomer Ulale Bengbose by TKO in the first round. Basically just took the guy down and beat him up on the ground. Not really that performance. But now let's get to the Fox Sports 1 opener. Catchweight fight because Ray Borg missed weight to the flyweight limit at 125. Borg got a unanimous decision win over Gene Herrera, but I thought this was a great fucking fight. These guys, yeah. Borg was on top overwhelmingly all 3 rounds, but totally dominated. But Herrera was in there going for submissions, going for Kimuras, going for triangles, and the transitions and the grappling and the back and forth. For a fight that spent 14 and a half minutes on the ground with one guy on his back almost the whole time, it was an amazing amount of action. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I thought it was a great fight too. I'd be shocked if that didn't win fight of the night. Back and forth action. Borg obviously had the advantage there in a lot of the key moments of the fight, but Herrera, like you said, was on the bottom, was throwing elbows, cut him open. Was making it exciting, and it was a fun fight in a great way. And it's kind of they said on the broadcast is 2 of the next generation of the flyweight division, and you got Herrera was 8-0, right? And I think Borg is 9-1 now, so he was already ranked number 14 going in. So
something like that. Let me pull it up.
So I don't know if he'll make a big jump up the rankings, but if he keeps fighting like that, I can't wait to see what he's got in store next.
As shallow as flyweight has been, I have to think Borg will jump in the rankings because it's just the division where Mighty Mouse has pretty much cleaned out the top tier. Although that top tier is pretty fearsome. And so it could be. It's all how they steer Borg's career. If they drive him right through the gatekeepers, he was supposed to fight Ian McCall tonight, I think. Or was that somebody else? I don't remember. That's probably a side time. But, I mean, it's whether they drive him right through the middle of it and he has to fight, Benavidez, say. That could be a big roadblock in his path to a title shot. I think he could probably get past Jussier Formiga. Ian McCall, I think he could handle. Henry Cejudo would be a very interesting fight for Borg right now, but I don't know if they want to put those two on a collision course.
I don't know why everyone's so crazy about Cejudo. I haven't really been that impressed thus far. I really haven't. I don't think his striking's that great. And even his wrestling, as much as the caliber he's come from, I forgot who he fought last time, but he was thwarted almost the entire fight.
That was a tough one. I remember, and that was a fairly newcomer that he was fighting at low pro. Not a newcomer. It was Chris Carriazo, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And Carriazo, it was a pretty tight fight too. And he was not impressive.
No, it was a lot like the Borg fight in the sense that it was a 30-27 win, but each round was very, very close. But I don't know. Cejudo's got a lot of athletic ability, and he's a proven performer at high level, although he's also a flaky performer who's prone to screwing up. So we'll see. But I think Borg is in the top 10 with a bullet after this performance, and I'm excited to see more of Herrera. I'd like to see Herrera against Dustin Ortiz, actually, in this next fight. But then we had Amanda Nunes just demolish Sarah McMahon, a first-round submission, rear naked choke, 2 minutes, 53 seconds. I think McMahon is done as a factor in the women's bantamweight division.
Yeah, that was as bad a loss as it gets. I mean, I don't know if she's ever recovered from that ass beating that Rousey gave her. And 2 losses in a row. Now this is her 3rd loss. Again, the proverbial hot seat there, the 3 losses. I think she hangs around the division just because it's not that deep, as we know. But statement win for Nunes, who looked fantastic, ranked 4 going in. So she could be a player before too long. Obviously, we got Tate Rousey coming up next. And again, I don't even want to mention the other name because I'm just so tired of everybody talking about it. But couldn't be long for Nunes to get in there and get a title shot.
It doesn't take much in that division, 1 or 2 wins in a row, and I think Holly Holm is the one they've got their eye on next if they can't put together the big fight. But definitely, I think Tate's got the next one. Nunes could be right in there next year, but I don't see her. I still don't see her beating Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I don't see anybody beating Rousey the way she looks, but. It's great to see these new challengers, and it's great to see what their approach is going to be. And Nunes looks pretty well rounded. Some crisp striking. Obviously, it's a whole different set of encyclopedias when you get in there with the women's champion. But it's great to see the other fighters come up in that division. And when I look at the bantamweight division, I like to, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, but I like to kind of put Rousey aside and say, how would this division be if Rousey wasn't in it? How would these matchups be? Would I be excited about this? Because everyone's so quick to go, well, whoever wins this one's not going to. And if you don't look at Rousey like that because she's so dominant, that division's really, really competitive. And it's still up and coming. I don't think it's as competitive as the strawweight division, which I think is the best female division right now. But I think if you take Rousey and put her aside for a second and look at the division as a whole, it's really improving and it's getting really competitive.
Yeah, I'd like to see a rematch between Nunes and Kat Zingano. I think that would go in a different direction the next time. But I don't want to see that until after Nunes gets her title shot. And I don't know. It's possible with her striking game and a good grappling game, she might be somebody who can give Rousey more trouble than most. But time will tell. And then moving on to the big boys, Gerald Rosholt and Timothy Johnson floundered around the cage for 3 rounds. Rosholt took out the decision, but Johnson clearly won the 3rd round. If he hadn't fought like a bonehead the entire fight, I think he would have knocked Rosholt out. But he just kept wanting to clinch, and then at the end, when he had him on the ropes, beating the piss out of him, goes for a takedown and just gives the fight away.
Fight IQ 0. If that was like a Madden, like where you pick the fighter IQ for the guy, just slide that all the way to the left. That stuff, I mean, look, we're not fighters at the end of the day, so God knows what's going on in their head in the middle of the action, but has them on the ropes, rubber legs, going in, and then shoots a double. I just looked at my TV like, why? I mean, not only that, I was hoping for the big comeback because I was rattling my brain for a good Fargo reference there, Nate. And I was like, damn it. Puzzling the inexplicable. I have you rocked, and I'm going to shoot in for the takedown now and do nothing. And I mean, I don't know. Even though if he cracked him one more good time, there was 12 seconds left. But man, it would have been fun to see him keep trying and catch him. But
yeah, for sure. And Rochold
survived.
Yeah, he did. Rochold's been dropped by one punch before. In the heavyweight division, it could happen. But for Rochold, very disappointing performance. This is a guy with really great wrestling resume, pretty good wrestling skills in the MMA context, but doesn't have a lot of power, not a great striker, has been shown that he tires, has been shown he can be lured into brawls. I really think he's got a pretty low ceiling in that division.
Yeah, and a funny thing about Johnson is you ever see those old like freak show or circus videos, and there's the weightlift guy with the big mustache? That's all I kept thinking of every time I saw Johnson with his mustache and head. I was like, it keeps giving me this image of this old like circus like weightlifter guy. He's
the strongman from Marvel Comics Circus of Crime is what he is. Just
like what a character. I mean, there's some characters, but Roseholt's one of those guys that's gonna kind of hang around and get on fights like this and make it interesting and fun for the fans. Is he going to crack the 15 anytime soon? No.
No, not going anywhere. But
he'll give us a lot of joy watching him.
It depends on what your taste is. Like lumber and heavyweight, I like the knockouts. I don't so much like the leaning against the fence. But
all right, well, let me rephrase. Amusement, Nate.
Yes. He will make it interesting because he's got a habit of giving away fights he should be winning. But then we got middleweight Derek Brunson utterly demolished Sam Alvey. 2 minutes 19 seconds of the first round. Although Alvey was complaining about a quick stoppage, Alvey looked wobbly to me when he stood up after that. I think it was a good call.
Oh well, let's not mention he got hit with how many punches before that?
Dozens.
I don't have any issue with that stoppage. I mean, he probably saved him a few more huge punches on the ground. It wasn't going anywhere. Sometimes it's best to just call it a day. You don't need to see a guy almost unconscious for the ref to stop it. He's there to protect the fighter. And listen, I don't sing. I think it was Yamasaki, right?
Yeah, Mario.
I don't sing his praises too much as far as being one of the top refs of stoppages and in-fight stuff. But
Mario killing Yamasaki? I mean, come on. For once, it was nice to see Mario erring on the side of safety. And Brunson was just beating the piss out of Alvey.
Parts for Yamasaki.
Yeah. And the only thing, Alvey, had it been in a wild Donnybrook where he still had a shot, if he'd been still on his feet and had a shot of landing the counter, because Alvey's one of those guys who has such a strong counter punch, and we've seen him do it before. I wouldn't want to count him out. But once he's down on his knees taking a beating, there's no point in continuing. So impressive performance from Derek Brunson. Where is he in the middleweight rankings at this point? Let me see.
Brunson I think he was 15, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 15, so he's down there with Hone Conero, Robert Whittaker, Dan Henderson, CB Dalloway. He might jump us a notch or two here, and I think he's a guy who's kind of a sleeper, but I think he's got some. I could see him breaking into the top 10. I don't know if he's ever going to make a title run, but I see him in the top 10.
Yeah, he looked good. He and what he did was when he had him hurt, he went after it. Now he did throw caution to the wind, but sometimes you got to do that to get a finish. I'm not going to knock a guy. I mean, sometimes you got to throw a little caution to the wind and get in there and get into a Donnybrook. You got him hurt. Like you said, if he had a good counter punch, he might have clipped him. But, hey, no risk, no reward. He goes in there, gets the finish, and gets it done. So good on him.
Absolutely. So we've run through the whole card. Any final thoughts about Glover Teixeira over in St. Preux? Who do you see as a good opponent for Teixeira after that win?
I don't know. I don't know which way they're going to go. You would think if they're going to have him fight Cormier eventually, maybe. You might as well just throw darts at a board at this point with this division. But maybe they try to give him not a guy a few rungs below him, to get him kind of built back up here. So I don't think
the only guy in the top 10 coming off a win that I could see him fighting would be number 10 Patrick Cummins, which would be a pretty tough fight.
That'd be a good fight.
Yeah, And I'd be fine with that because I really don't view Teixeira at his age. He's not especially marketable. I think Cummins has a better story. Both of these guys are in the mid-30s. Either one of those guys getting a run is fine with me.
Well, what's the top five? Is 4 was Teixeira, 3 is Evans, right? Or is that
it was the top 5 is 5 Rashad Evans, 4 Glover Teixeira, 3 Ryan Bader, 2 Alexander Gustafsson, who's got the next title shot. Number 1 is Anthony Rumble Johnson, who just lost the last title shot, and the champion is down at Cormier. So you got to figure John Jones hopefully will be back in the next 18 months, maybe. Although that trial they haven't set a date or anything, so he could be in limbo for a long time. But you got Rumble out of the picture temporarily. Gustafsson and Cormier are fighting. Bader's fighting Evans. So I don't know. Could be if Teixeira were to fight Cummins, winner of that fight could easily be right in there. I'd say Bader or Evans would get the next title shot, and I don't see Evans beating Bader unless he's just recovered. I don't know. It's been so long since we've seen Rashad Evans. I don't even know what to think.
I don't know. I kind of don't know what to think, but I'm still going to favor Evans. Just
yeah.
Just because it's Ryan Bader.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say about Ryan. It's a great story. He's won several in a row, but at the end of the day, I don't see how he beats. Evans. He's going to out wrestle Evans.
Yeah, unless Evans has just completely lost his knees. And the thing that Evans, I mean, remember the way Evans spanked Phil Davis. I mean, he can take a one-dimensional wrestler and just make him wish he'd never been born in the
and that's what I think is going to happen against Bader.
Yeah, I think so too. Because Evans can phase shift. He can go from striking to wrestling like that and back and forth, make you think about the takedown, kick you in the face, make you think about the kick, take you down, do it over and over. And Bader, doesn't have the fight IQ or resilience. Well, anyway.
And every time he gets to the top of the division, he just shows he's not there. He's not ready for prime time.
Yeah, I think he's improving, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I remember when he fought Teixeira and had a good fight, good chance, but then left himself open, went for the gusto against the wrong dude, got clocked coming in. So that's our fight card. Thanks very much, Michael Stetz.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, sure. I hope we can do this again. So follow us on YouTube, MMANation.com. You can follow us on iTunes, MMA Nation. Read me on BloodyElbow.com. Read Stetz on MMA Mania. What's your Twitter?
It's at Michael_Stetz.
Michael_Stetz. Any other plugs you want to make or any place else people can follow your work?
You can also check me out, SiriusXM. Sometimes I fill in for the guys at Fight Club. I just got hired from them recently, so don't have my own show yet, but I do. I am part of the program, so you can hear me there too. Congratulations, and I'll be looking to listen on the Mondays to Luke Thomas's show every chance I get. So, adios MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time. This is Kid Nate. Peace.